Hi, my name is Kaytlynn Welsch, and today I'm going to be talking about a global change, a rendering of the effects of climate change. Since the 1800s, human activities have pushed for the production of fossil fuels, such as coal, oil, and gas. The burning of these fuels generates greenhouse gas emissions, creating our current global crisis we call climate change. The consequences of climate change include extreme weather and temperature patterns, leading to intense droughts, severe fires, rising sea levels, catastrophic storms, and declining biodiversity. Through economic and political inequality, climate change is not felt proportionally across the globe. Communities are experiencing the repercussions of climate turmoil due to its striking correlation between climate change's environmental effects and political and economic instability. Climate change contributes to these instabilities through environmental disasters, such as floods, storms, droughts, and desertification. These disasters contribute to famine, fires, dead livestock, and failed crops, which in turn inflames political unrest, leading to war and causing environmental migrants and climate refugee displacement. While some nations notice no consequences from their constant pollution of greenhouse gases, others experience the repercussions of climate change. This brings us to climate change solutions require action. These actions are cutting emissions, adapting to climate impacts, financing required adjustments, and a call to switch energy systems from fossil fuels to renewable energy like solar or wind. We also need people to act. We need to ensure that people have education and understanding towards climate change solutions, climate change misinformation, and climate justice and equity. Human-induced climate change is affecting our world in every known aspect, from the extinction of species to the forced migration of people, and even global negotiations focused around the crisis itself. It is necessary and crucial that our society is educated on the environmental, economic, and social effects of our climate crisis. While there is plenty of written information over this, many people find it either difficult to read, comprehend, or simply decide to not have the time to learn about climate change and the crises surrounding it. Through this art piece, which I have titled A Global Change, I want the viewer to see the effects of this climate crisis on people, plants, and animals across the globe in an easy infographic format. Viewing this piece, we first see our recognizable world. On this map lies 8 screenshots on different parts of the world, such as North America, South America, Australia, Europe, Russia, and Greenland. Each of these screenshots shows a different but somewhat similar natural disaster brought on by climate change. When first looking at this art piece, each viewer is able to have a different reaction depending on both their experiences and their knowledge. For Pepperdine students, who are looking at the fires in California or the floods in Texas, would be able to resonate with these screenshots. Other students, possibly international, would be able to resonate with the European, African, Australian, or Russian disasters. However, there might be some that look at this piece and not understand the implication or actions that are being depicted. With this in mind, I created a video showcasing the background and transformation of each screenshot, along with detailing what climate change is and what we can do to help mitigate it. In the next couple of slides, I will be showcasing each of these screenshots. In this, I will be explaining the background and importance of each, along with the transformation each event has gone through. And following the theme of a global change, I will be following the transition that human-induced climate change has caused on the community, the environment, and biodiversity. The first piece we will start off with is Australia. For those viewing the piece currently, you can go ahead and keep your eyes towards the Australian continent. In this picture, we see a kangaroo with the background of a burning house. This photo depicts the Australian bushfire crisis, which is considered one of the worst wildfire disasters in modern history. 3 billion animals were killed or displaced, 42 million acres were lost, almost 6,000 buildings were destroyed, and 34 people were killed. This crisis also put more than 500 species into endangerment or extinction. Not only did this event affect Australia, but also New Zealand, who had their glaciers turn brown with ash. Here we see a couple of photos of the before and after, the transition that Australia went through when facing this human-induced climate crisis. Next, we can move our eyes over to South America. Here we see Brazil, in which this picture is depicting the drought that they are currently going through. This drought, which is hitting Brazil's south-central region, is the worst drought they have experienced. It is causing crop losses, water scarcity, and increased fire activity. Brazil is highly dependent on hydroelectric dams and reservoirs to help power the region. They are also currently facing electricity crisis because of this. Low water is also disrupting ship traffic in the basin, which is increasing the price of transportation and goods. Next, we can look at Italy, which is going to be in the European region. Here, we're going to be looking at the floods that have plagued the European region. In 2001, European flooding death toll reached 242 people. It has affected Germany, Romania, Italy, and Austria, where 100 millimeters of rain fell in 4 hours in Italy. The flood damage was 7.8 billion, and tens of thousands were unable to return to their homes, and many were left without access to power and drinking water. Next, we're going to be looking at the Arctic, or the Greenland region. This is actually a crisis that many people do know about, and that is the melting polar ice caps, because this has far-reaching effects across the world, especially in flooding. It is one of the more known events. Right now, we are losing Arctic sea ice at a rate of 13% per decade, and over the past 30 years, 95% of the oldest and thickest ice has declined. Furthermore, scientists believe that climate change may kill off all the polar bears by 2100. Next, the event we'll be looking at has affected a lot of the students here today. That's going to be the California wildfires that also affected Sequoia. Here, 7,500 to 10,600 large sequoias were destroyed in the wildfires. The fires also destroyed over 10,000 structures, 106 people were killed, and this has even transformed over since 2019, where over 8,000 fires have been recorded. These fires have also burned many acres and have destroyed biodiversity, lives, and homes. Looking at the Russia region, we're going to be focusing specifically on Siberia, which is part of the Russian Federation. We're looking at the wildfires that are currently happening there and have been happening. These wildfires have killed at least 15 people in Siberia. They are also destroyed about 4.7 billion trees. Russia currently has the largest forest in the world, which acts as a carbon sink because it absorbs carbon from the greenhouse emissions. However, since it is destroyed, not only do the fires accelerate climate change by releasing greenhouse gases, but the Russian fires also emitted carbon equal to Sweden's total carbon dioxide emissions for the year. Now we can look at Africa. We'll be seeing the Lake Chad Basin region. The Lake Chad Basin region is currently experiencing drought, war, poverty, and a famine. It's known as one of the world's greatest humanitarian crises. Right now it's affecting Nigeria, Cameroon, Niger, and Chad. Lake Chad is in the middle of all of these, as you can see in the photos to the left. It is currently affecting a total of 17 million people, as the water body that a lot of these people use has diminished by 90% since the 1960s. This has also created a violent war started by climate change related drought, and this has displaced 2.5 million people. Lastly, we have Texas, which not only personally affects me, but might affect some of the people in the room here. We're talking specifically about Hurricane Harvey and the flooding Texas experienced during this time. This flood caused $125 billion in damage. It also had catastrophic results to both people, homes, and jobs. It resulted in 100 deaths, 13 million people were affected, 135,000 homes were damaged, and we experienced almost 60 inches of rain. And again, just looking at these two photos, you can see the before and after, just the transformation that the community had to experience during this climate-related disaster. And that is all we have for today. I hope everyone learned something new about climate change and were able to see the effects climate change has on the entire globe. It is important that we understand how the climate is changing so that we can prepare for the future. Studying the climate helps us predict how much rain the next winter might bring or how far sea levels will rise due to warmer sea temperatures. With this, I hope this art piece and video helps push everyone to make more sustainable and green choices towards a better future.